So I haven't had a lot of time to read books on my own for my own enjoyment, mainly because I've been reading books like this, you know, theories in contemporary art and books on printmaking and lots of art history books, books on performance art and all of the art theory. So I haven't really had a lot of time to read for my own enjoyment. And I spend a lot of time in my studio. Usually I spend about anywhere from 8 to 12 hours a day working in the studio. So what I've done recently is I've picked up some audiobooks, and I've been listening to the audiobooks while I've been working in my studio. And the ones that I just finished were the Red Dwarf audiobooks. And a lot of people know, a lot of sci-fi fans know that Red Dwarf was a show on BBC. It was imported into the U.S. and put on public television. I think the last year was 2001. Maybe it was 2000, the 8th season. And, but I picked up the audiobooks. I'd read the books before, but I wanted to listen to the audiobooks, and I was really surprised on how good the audiobooks were. I've never really been a big fan of audiobooks. I've picked up some here and there, but by and large, most of them didn't impress me very much. But these ones impressed me a lot, and I thought they were very entertaining and they were very funny. I mean, the books are really funny, but the audiobooks were really enjoyable to me. First off, because the first two books, Infinity Welcomes, Careful Drivers, and Better Than Life, were both read by Chris Berry, who, as Red Dwarf fans know, he played A.J. Rimmer on the television show. He did a great job of reading these books because whenever a different character talked, he would always do the character's voice. He would talk as Crichton, or he would talk as the cat, or as Lister. And a lot of the times I was listening to the audiobooks, and it's like, is it really just Chris Berry doing these voices? They were really well done, and the books were really funny. I'd definitely recommend them. But then the third book, Backwards, that one was read by Rob Grant, one of the co-writers and co-creators of the show. And that one was really good too. I mean, I think maybe Backwards is probably the more entertaining of all four of the books. But the reading on this one just wasn't as exciting to me. It was good. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad, but I mean, after listening to the first two, I was really kind of let down a little bit listening to him read it, because Chris Berry did such a great job on the first two. And then the fourth book, The Last Human, was read by Craig Charles, who Red Dwarf fans know is the man who played David Lister in the TV show. And his reading was different than Barry's. And I mean, I liked his reading a lot, but I mean, he would try and do the voices of the characters too, and Rob Grant tried to do that in the third book too, and it wasn't as good as Chris Berry doing it. But one thing that he did in the fourth book, though, that I really liked, was that he was more dramatic on when the action was happening in the books. And I thought that was really great. He really got into reading even just the regular narration. And that was really entertaining to me, too. But the books are really funny, and it's really good science fiction. It's really smart science fiction, which is hard to find, even in regular science fiction, much less comedic science fiction. So they were really funny and really good. Just to give a brief synopsis of the story, we'll just start from the beginning, though. Like, there's the biggest space bomb you could ever think of. It's set a couple hundred years in the future. And the biggest space bomb you can imagine is on a mining ship. And he smuggles aboard a cat. And then the captain of the ship finds out about it, and he has to go into quarantine because it's a quarantine zone, so that he can't bring any foreign organisms on board. So he gets put into a stasis, which is basically their punishment. So he'd go into stasis where time stands still, and then he'd serve out his sentence in stasis and basically lose all of his pay. During this time, though, the crew of the whole ship gets killed by a massive radiation leak, and then he is in suspended animation until the half-life of the radiation is done, which is basically 3 million years in the future. So the ship keeps moving, and it goes 3 million years out of the solar system. And he's basically the last man on Earth. Or not on Earth, the last man alive in the universe. Sorry. But these were really good audiobooks, and I was really, like I said, I was really surprised because I'm not, by and large, a big fan of audiobooks, but a friend of mine who I've worked with in the studio was like, well, you know, you can't read so much, maybe you should pick up some audiobooks. And I did, and they were really good. I'd recommend them highly. You know, there's a lot of stuff that's in the TV show that are in the audiobooks or in the books. So, you know, hardcore Red Dwarf fans who've seen every episode like I have will recognize the parts that, you know, come from the books that are in the TV show, but they're still really entertaining, and the story isn't exactly the way it is in the TV show. And then the story is actually, you know, the deeper it gets into the books, the more the stories vary from what's on the TV show. So if you're a hardcore Red Dwarf fan, I would definitely recommend picking this up. But any casual science fiction fan, I think this would be really good. Anybody who loved The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, I would definitely pick up the Red Dwarf audiobooks. They're great to listen to. You know, and if you're like me who doesn't have time to read for your own enjoyment all the time, definitely pick them up. It's worth listening to, and they're really entertaining.